Oh, welcome, folks, back with another Hump Day Real Estate with Kendall in the DMV. And we have a lovely guest again today. Who do we have here today?
We have Laura back after a
Hey,
long
Laura.
hiatus from talking to you. So thank you for inviting me. Hello, everybody.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I want to start things off by speaking on Dave Ramsey, who's a American radio personality who offers financial advice, and on the Dave Ramsey Show, who has also written several books, such as Complete Guide to Money. And one of the things that Dave Ramsey mentioned is something that we're going to talk about. It is the mortgage interest rates and whether you should buy a house. But Dave Ramsey says that he's seen 7% before, an upward 7%. Dave Ramsey also says that he doesn't think that that the home prices or rents are going to come down, and that people who actually jump in the market and buy now are going to build wealth within the next 3 years or so, because housing prices and rents are not going to come down. So he ended off one of the videos that I was watching. He said, "You got to buy a house now." Laura, what did you think about what Dave Ramsey you've been saying about this crazy market right now?
Well, I'm going to agree with him. Full disclosure, I did train with Dave Ramsey, and I have his financial coach designation, and I have taught his Financial Peace University classes many times, mostly before COVID, because I didn't find that doing it on a Zoom was as effective, because people didn't engage, and they came and they went and they were distracted, and then they missed sessions, so they didn't get much out of it. And I hope to go back to teaching those classes. But I depart from him in some areas, but not with what you just said, because you can just Google Economics 101, and that is all you will need to learn the supply and demand curve. And when demand exceeds supply, prices have to go up. This is like a fundamental of life. It's like breathing. You need oxygen or you don't live, So Economics 101 is truth. It's a bedrock of the economy, and our demand far exceeds the supply of houses. It's been true for a good number of years. It's going to continue to be true. And we've been telling you this, both Marcellus and myself, if you need shelter, and all human beings need shelter because God put us here naked, and even some clothes don't keep us from the elements. You need shelter, and you're going to be far better off if you own rather than rent. Because if you're renting, maybe in the short term and some particular circumstances, it makes sense to rent for a while. But if you're going to be in an area, and this is your area, and this is where your family is, and where your employment is, and where you love to be, then you should be buying. You should own. Otherwise, you're just helping your landlord make money. And he's happy to take your money, your landlord, he or she. But, your landlord can find somebody else to make him happy, while you get happy building wealth with your own house. Get a roof, your own roof over your own head.
Yep. And you spoke about Economic 101. I think when I took the class years ago, it really stuck with me, the fact that I saw in there that it had a house, and then it had all the trade people and persons and all the utility companies all gathered around the house, which create that one economic situation. And it starts with that house. Mm-hmm. And I don't think people even understand or know that that what you're doing is the same as if you would create a business and you employ people. you're actually helping with the economy when you go buy a home and you pay for utilities, you pay for all these things. And we may complain about maintenance on a property and all the things that come, but all of that is a part of the economic circle. And
It's amazing how many people you actually employ when you're even just starting the process of becoming a homeowner. You've got myself in the mortgage business, you got Marcellus, the realtor, and then you're going to have an appraisal done. We've pulled credit, so the credit bureau is going to make some money. You're going to get a title company. They're going to have to do their part. You have your inspections, so you have your inspectors out there to look at it. You might need some things fixed before you even buy the house. You're going to have some contractors, but definitely after you buy the house, at some point you're going to have, the HVAC, the roof and landscaping and all sorts of stuff. You're going to go to Home Depot and Lowe's every Saturday. It's like amazing. You're going to have like coffee with friends that you're going to know from Home Depot because you're going to be there and they're going to be there. So
it's just an amazing thing. And I don't think people really look at it as this, but you're contributing to something. And either you contribute to something that comes directly from you, or you be a part of helping somebody else contribute in that same thing. And that's what happened when you're a renter.
Yeah, it's just great. And home ownership makes neighborhoods more stable. It makes the neighborhood better when you have more homeowners than renters. And then you have a say in your neighborhood. Maybe you have a homeowners association, maybe you don't, but you can have neighborhood watch, and you have that app next door where you and your neighbors can be talking about things going on in the neighborhood. You can do neighborhood watch. You can get to know your local police and fire. I know in our neighborhood, the fire truck goes by, with Santa Claus on it, and they also knock on your door for annual contributions. You can go to the firehouse and do all sorts of events. So you can just really get involved in a lot of things in your community that make a huge difference for everybody, yourself and your family and your kids, and then everybody else. It's fantastic.
It's a wonderful thing. Although I always get folks who complain about homeowners associations and they don't want anybody in their business. But the reason why that thing is put together is to keep the community up, to have standards so that the value of the homes will continue to go. And why would you not want to go into a community where there's some standards? No, we don't like all of the things. We might have some things that we want to personalize and do, but just understanding that the reason that is in place is to keep the value of the home up, which is your investment long-term, that, you're going to want to build wealth with that thing, whether you then become a landlord and have properties yourself. And if you're in communities where the HOA is helping you to keep value up, that's your wealth building strategy. So, it's
if you want to complain about something, but you're not involved in the HOA association meetings, then you shouldn't complain. Because you get the opportunity to be involved and make your thoughts and feelings known, and you can actually get on the board, and then you can be the one that has the voice, more of a voice, and you can represent the other people. Or you can go into older neighborhoods that don't have HOAs, and then you don't have to deal with that, but you still might have a neighborhood situation that you need to deal with.
Yeah, things might be all over the place.
HOA to back you.
Yeah, because there's no standards now. So now your neighbors are just doing.
So what are you going to complain about? That or that,
And here's an example of that. And hopefully I don't get beat up on this, because I know the person somewhat that has this. But if there's an area in Baltimore City where the homeowner has like tons of things out front, and obviously, and I believe this guy was I think might be like a junk collector or something like that.
Like a hoarder.
Yeah, but his whole front yard is filled with
Mm.
these knickknacks and things all out through his yard, right? But no other yard has that going on. And when people ride through, they're always popping up, and somebody goes through that neighborhood and they post it on Facebook. I don't know who live here, and they got all this stuff going on, and it's the weird thing. Well, you won't have that in a neighborhood where you have that HOA that you might want to complain about, because then if that's an eyesore for you, that's not an eyesore for that homeowner. Now there's something in place to make it that that homeowner could never actually to do that.
Yeah, because
So
they'll get
yeah, so
notices and all sorts of things
yeah,
start happening. So
yeah,
yeah,
so yeah,
pick
so
your
once
poison in this world, you know.
you have to, and so uh, interest rates. What are we looking at right now?
Um, up way upper sixes to into the sevens. Depending on what program, your credit score, what type of property, how much you're putting down, all sorts of factors. But yeah, they're definitely solidly seven something. You can pay like a point and get into the upper sixes. So not terrible. I remind everybody, if they haven't heard me say this before, I bought my first house at 11%. And I bought my second house and I was thrilled. I was like tickled pink that I got 9.375, 9 3/8. So I was delighted to get a 30-year fix under double digits. So yeah.
And to piggyback on Laura, my first house was 8%. So which they're still shy of that. And then also to piggyback on my first investment property was 18%. So we had to go non-traditional lending to get that. And so we're at 18% with about 4 points to close on that property, buying an investment property. So these numbers, I'm just like what Dave Ramsey spoke on. We've been around the bush before. We've seen these numbers that, although now there is a little difference, that housing prices, the prices of homes are up, but they're always going to be that, right? I mean, you can't see within 5 or 10 years the home prices are staying the same. So it's a different day, but prices, everything up, and it's just a difference of in the interest rate saying those numbers.
Annual incomes are way up from when,
Yeah.
prices, when interest rates were double digits, in the late 80s and stuff, the average income wasn't nearly as high as it is now. Housing prices weren't as high, but income wasn't as high.
Yeah,
So,
look at minimum wage.
yeah, I think my first job, I was making $1 something.
Yes. And so what minimum wage now is what, $14, $15 an hour? So we have to look at all of that when we complain about, where prices are compared to interest rates and all of that stuff.
I still contend, and this will maybe switch the subject just a tiny little bit, but it's all important, is that most people, especially couples, make enough money to buy a house in this market. The problem that all of us, and I just throw myself in that bucket, is we spend too much time and money spending on our wants, the things we want, and we think just because we want something, we need to get it right immediately away. That we don't put enough money in savings, and we don't sacrifice sufficiently in the current time to get to our bigger goals like home ownership. And I think we really it's just in everybody. There's no group or that isn't doing this, but we are marketed to, and I know Dave Ramsey talks about this too, we are marketed to more than any other group of people on the globe, and at any other time in history of human beings, we are marketed to more now than ever before. I mean, you can't get away from it. Like billboards, TV, radio, all of people, especially working from home, and you have multiple screens, and you can be shopping on one screen and doing your work on another. And then if you happen to glance at some pair of shoes, before you know it, it's showing up on your phone 3 seconds later, and you're just like, boom, boom, boom. Like, so then you're like, oh, I want it. And it's so easy. Think about it, you used to have to stop what you were doing, put on some clothes, get in your car, drive to the mall, park, walk into the mall, find the store you were looking for, browse around, and then you could at least have some time to think, what the hell am I doing? Let me get out of here before I buy something. Now, there's no time delay between when you see something, you can put it in your cart and boom, click, it's bought. And it's in Amazon, probably delivers it to you sometimes the same daggone day.
Let's pick on some folks for a second, though. We have, and we've seen this, we have folks that are making 6 figures or nearly making 6 figures. But most of the problem, the reason why they can't see themselves buying a home is because every other day or every Wednesday, every Thursday, they're out and they got to get a drink or so after work, right? They eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner out, right? Very big expenses. They make good money, and they travel. You'll probably notice. Oh, they travel 2-3 times a year. Add those expenses up, and
number one expense that I see on people's bank statements per month, other than huge car payments, is eating out. Like eating out, like you said, no kidding, 3 meals a day. And sometimes snacks in between. We got to count Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts.
Mhm.
Dunkin' Donuts used to just be a donut place. And now all of a sudden, you got to have your coffee. And I saw an ad for it this morning when I was at the gym, and I couldn't hear it, but it had music and people dancing because of their iced coffee and iced teas and iced lemonade drinks and all of this stuff.
And so don't forget your breakfast burrito that you can get there now. So you can get a full breakfast there. So that marketing that you just spoke of, hey, you ask for your coffee, say, you want anything else? We got raspberry this and that. And so you get caught up, and next thing you know, breakfast costs you $10.
Yeah, I mean, it adds up so much, but I see people spending up to and more than $1,000 a month on eating out food. Could be takeout, it could, and I include like the stop at the liquor store too.
Yeah.
So you stop for your pizza, then you go get your beer or whiskey or whatever the libation is, and but then somebody wants Chipotle and somebody else in your family wants Chick-fil-A, and you come home and God forbid you buy all of those things and you get DoorDash or Grubhub to deliver
Oh
it.
my goodness, the expense on that. And
like,
and we haven't even talked about your gas. When you're riding back and forth, whether you Grubhub or DoorDash or you spend your own gas.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, but that by the time you do all of these things, you have no money. You made money. You have no idea where your money went. And, you ate it, drank it, or, you bought a new pair of shoes or something. And it's just too easy. It's too easy. And it's so hard. The word no is like the boogeyman nowadays. There is no. But I'm telling you, you have to look in the mirror at yourself and just spend 5 minutes, like literally looking at yourself, and then practice the word no. and you can say it like to your, it's my mother used to say no is a complete sentence. No. Like you can do it, no. And you don't even have to explain why. I know all of us like, oh, I have to tell them why. No, you don't. Just no. It's okay. We'll all live. And then you tell yourself no, and you get a picture of the house. I have a great client. I've known her for probably 30 years now. And she put a picture everywhere, in her wallet, on her wallet, in her car, on the dashboard, in her bathroom mirror, on all the exits in her place where she was living. So everywhere she went, she saw what she was really going for. And she's no. And she got that first house, and she is long gone from that first house, believe me. So.
And the crazy thing with the house, right? You have all these expenses, you bought all these things. And at this point, if let's use a Dave Ramsey or any financial person that came in and said, hey, look, you need to cut this back, and then you can go and put some money into your stock market and this, that, and the third. And so you can start to really try to build wealth. But guess what? If you own the house, let's say the person that just purchased the house in 2017 or 2018, even 2019, when they took the time to set the money aside to buy a house, they built wealth without even thinking about it. And the crazy thing is the exact same thing that you're going out and you're buying all this food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But if you have the house, you're paying the mortgage anyway. And when you're paying down the principal, and then the market of appreciation comes in, and then you're building wealth and you don't even know it.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing. Even if it never appreciated, the value never went up. At the end, when you pay off the 30 years and you bought the house, let's say 450, you have that asset. It's yours. And if it never went up and it never went down and it's still 450, that's $450,000 that is yours. But if you paid the landlord's rent, and even if it was, say, $2,000 a month, that's $24,000 a year, and that's 30 years. That's $720,000 you paid the landlord, and you have zero, or you have 450. I mean, I'll take the 450 all day long. Plus, I had shelter. I built relationships with neighbors, and I went to the community church or synagogue or mosque or whatever. You went to the community center and your kids played basketball there, and you swam at the local, whatever, YMCA or swim club or whatever it was, and you played tennis on the tennis courts, and you went to the reservoir and rode your kayak. I mean, think of all the great things that you did. And you still have this beautiful asset that's yours. Or you can rent. Maybe you'll know people and do things, but you'll still have nothing. If so it's the numbers just tell you to do it. Do it. What are you waiting for?
Let's throw the bad thing in there, though, Lauren. Let's say things just so happen to happen, right? You lose your job. You have to get a divorce. You have to, or you break up with your spouse, etc. Something you get a medical emergency and you can't make your mortgage payment. You will not get thrown out of the house the same way you would get thrown out your rental place.
Yeah, it would take a lot longer for them to get rid of you, but you would have options, because maybe you could just put the house on the market and sell it. And
but even if you don't have,
even, or maybe you put some money in your pocket.
But even if you don't have to go that far, right? There's been people, and I was talking to somebody about this last night. There's been people that's been in their house for 3, 4, 5 years before, and with options working with the lender to try to get caught up to be able to stay in their house.
They have options to help you stay in the house. They'll work very diligently to help people stay in the house. Maybe you have a friend in a similar situation and you rent. They become your renter. You make ends meet that way. Maybe your kid wants to move back home and they pay rent. Maybe your mom or dad who's elderly move in and they help pay for things with their Social Security payment. Or maybe multi-generational families buy together. And that way, if one person has a hiccup, the other 2, 3 adults in the house pitch in more and carry them through. I mean, we used to, as a society, live in multi-generational homes. That was normal. And then we got away from it, and now it's coming back again.
Well, it has to come back. It needs to come back because everything is getting expensive. But the best way to build that wealth and even be able to pass some things down is that multi-generational. I was just looking at something not too long ago. It has a Muslim family, and they all live in this big house. But the part of the story was, I forget, I was talking to somebody else and they remembered exactly what video I was talking about. But the guy had like a Lamborghini, right? And they're like, dang, well, how you get a Lamborghini? But what you don't know in the background is that this guy and his family lives in big house somewhere with 5 other families or 5 family members or what have you, right? And all of them have nice cars because all of them are also pitching in to pay for this big piece of real estate as well. But they're growing something here, right? Which also allows them to go and use their money for other things because they're all pitching in. It's not as expensive to own this house on 2-3 acres, 5,000-6,000 square foot home or whatever. But when you have the mindset that you don't want to pull those resources together, that's what's causing all the craziness in most folks' lives, is that going out and taking on all these expenses themselves.
Yeah, you have to really reduce the expenses so that you reduce your exposure to financial problems. Because if you don't have very much credit card debt and you have a reasonable car payment and you pay your car off and you don't run back out and get a new car, you just have your house payment and utilities, then a lot of people convert their basement into a rental property. The basement starts earning some income for them. And they put in a little moderate kitchen and outdoor exit, or a lot of people convert a separate garage to an apartment and they have an auxiliary, dwelling unit there, and they create an income stream there. So a lot of people get creative when they own a property so they can weather some storms if it comes along. First of all, you want to have your emergency fund, but you want to keep your debts low. If you keep your consumer debt low, your credit cards and car payments and stuff, you can weather most storms because you're going to be able to put aside money to carry you through transition periods. And they're going to come. It's not a surprise. They're going to come. Everybody has them. But if you have some money set aside, or you have a way to, or you make a way to bring in extra money through your property, whether you rent a room or you rent the basement out or whatever, you can make it through. And then it's just a nuisance instead of a tragedy or a drama, a soap opera.
Laura, now, I don't know if you know this guy. I don't know if you know any rappers, but check this rapper out. They call him Rick Ross, right? I think he lives down in North Carolina, Fayetteville or somewhere over there, right? He bought the known boxer Holyfield's house, and he bought this thing. It's huge. I think he has the largest lot and home in that area of North Carolina. I think it is. And this guy is smart. This guy bought this thing, and he has a outside. He has almost 20 cars or so, right? But they're all custom cars, right? The way this thing, and they call it the Promised Land. So he has I think it had a music studio in it when Holyfield had it, or something or the other. But he has a music studio and all this stuff. This guy rents the place out. Guess. I don't know if you know the movie Coming to America. He rented Promised Land out to film the Coming to America. He has rappers and everybody come, and they utilize where he has his cars parked and do rap videos and stuff like that. Like you have a piece of investment there that you have the opportunity to go and make something off. And I love it that what he did when he bought this thing, and then Like, why you go and buy, like most people, they go and buy these million, $2 million, $20 million homes, and they just live in them. But this guy goes, he just had a big, the town wanted to shut him down this year, but he had a big car show.
Mhm.
I think it was like $200-300 a ticket or something to go to
Yeah,
this
that's
car show.
awesome. The creativity and, using his property to produce other income. I know a lot of people in rural areas that have those old red barns, they renovate them and turn them into wedding venues, or they have an orchard, that's a little bit more out in the rural areas. But if you have some unique thing on your property, a lot of people, have like a pond on their property and a nice oak tree, and they turn it into, a wedding venue because people love it. It just looks pretty. So maybe other people have, something cool that they can use to, make some extra dough.
It's not just about but you're living where you're going to reside later on. That family starts, you start to move down, families start moving out, kids start going out. Then it's also, you can think about other opportunities to to build that wealth and create residual income. And that's a very, very good thing to think about when you're even thinking about purchasing, because they say, oh, maybe I don't want the townhouse. Maybe I do want the single family right now because I'm thinking the long run. Oh, I got a garage back there. Maybe I can rent that garage out. Or like you
Mhm.
said, I got this good orchard tree or whatever over here. Well, that sounds like a good idea. I can have wedding events or other events, and I rent this thing out every. And there's even with Airbnb. I don't know if they've done it before then. There's folks that actually rent their pool, their backyards out.
Yeah, I just thought of this, and I hadn't thought about this in years. My mother got retired early. She wasn't planning on retiring, so she wasn't really quite ready for it. She wasn't Social Security age at the time or anything like that. And I remember, because all of us had moved out, she rented the basement for several years to just bring in some extra money. I know she probably could have made it on, her savings, because she was really good with her money. But she just did that. And I actually never even thought about that, but it came to mind that she had a renter for several years, just to bring in some extra cash flow so she didn't have to tap into her savings so early. So you can do it. And I was talking to a friend, because it's kind of an ugly, messy breakup situation, and the one party can't afford the house on their own income. And I was like, he's got a good sized house. You got to be careful, but finds a couple good renters, or maybe he has a couple buddies, because he's a pretty young guy, and get, get some money, cash flow in there. And he could, muddle through until, sometime next few years. So it can be done. We are creative creatures. We just have to get out of our own way and stop building little roadblocks for ourselves, going, oh, I don't, you maybe you don't want to have a renter in your house, but you're careful. You pick a good person, get their credit and make sure they're going to pay on time. Maybe make them give you a bigger security deposit, and, you have some rules, you have a lease, and, you can get through. You will get through, but owning gives you a lot more options. If you lose your job and you're renting, you don't have so many options to do that. And they don't let you out of your leases, and then where are you going to go anyways? They're not going to work with you. They're not going to modify your lease.
Yeah, it's nothing you can do as a renter once you get behind, to get caught up. That if that landlord decides they don't want to deal with you, they just won't deal with you. Let everything go through the court, and it's up to you to come up with whatever money you owe. You don't come up with it in Baltimore City. You got it's kind of like a 3-strike rule. They get you. You don't come up with it. We take you back down for failure to pay a second time. After the third time strike, they don't have to let you back.
Yeah, and then they put all the arrears on your credit report as a collection, and then they turn it into a judgment. So you're going to pay them later
Yep.
to clear up your credit.
Yeah, something really to think about, folks. I mean, you hear us talking about this a lot, but it's because it's factual, it's true, and it's sometimes it might even be tough for you to hear because even when like during the pandemic and everybody was running to buy a house, we're still trying to talk the same thing, but it's just factual that most times the time to buy. Because it's especially depending on your situation. If the rents are up, it's time to buy. If the home prices come down or there's some slowness in the market, it's time to buy. Why? Because just like the stock market, you should be buying low and it's selling high.
And if rates do come back, because we've been expecting them to come back, but they haven't done it yet. And we've been hoping for them to come back down a little bit. But even if they came down and say they were in the upper 5s or 6s, you're going to get way more people out there looking, and the competition is going to push it even higher because more people are going to qualify, if it's at 6 than if it's at 7. And if you get in now and say you have 7.25 or 7.5 or whatever the rate is, we will gladly refinance you and take you to the lower rate. You just have to make sure your payments are on time, keep your credit clean, all the things that you did to get into the house, just keep doing it.
Yeah. Stop doing things, folks, when it's trending. If especially when you're paying money for it. If it's trending, you're going to pay more. Just understand that. You understand you want to be in competition and you want to have better than what other folks have. But the people who make out better understands that when it's trending, that it's not the time to jump in. You jump in when everybody else is not looking, and that's when you ride the trend wave up and you cash out on that.
Yeah, and you have to buy what you can afford. Maybe you're not going to buy in this market exactly what you want. Buy what you can afford, live in it, fix it up, take care of it, love it up. And then in 3 to 5 years, you'll have some equity to move up into that, next price range. But buy what you can afford. Maybe buy even a little bit lower than you can afford and just make it make it nice. So like I always say, I always say this, you will never get to your dream home if you don't buy your first home. My saying, it's true. You will never get to your dream home. You do not start the race at the finish line. You have to get up to the start line, and there's preparation. All the people that like athletes and they get to the start line, they didn't start at the start line even. They started back practicing and drilling and waking up early and working hard and maybe working 2 jobs so they can get out of debt. They had to do all this prep just to get to the start line. But you still have to step up and have the courage to step up to the start line and then start the race. The race is where everybody's elbowing and pushing and scrapping for their space to go forward. So, but you got to get in. It means you might have to be brave. So be brave. Just, do it. Because you'll never get to your dream home if you don't buy your first home.
And a person like Laura, loan officer, is that person that you really want to reach out to so you can see a full picture. Don't be scared to call your loan officer or call a loan officer and discuss what the financial picture looks like. They're happy to get you on the line and sit down and go through everything with you so they can educate you on exactly what you need to do and where you need to be. And so you can also have an understanding of what home ownership may mean to you, because it could mean saving you $400 or $500 a month in your pocket. It could also maybe even save your because maybe if you buy a home, now you can't afford to go and eat at McDonald's and Starbucks every day and putting all that bad stuff into your body, you know? So it could be a
That's excellent.
life-changing experience.
Buying a home can save your waistline, your heart, and everything else. Because that is a good explanation too. You know, it's okay if you're house poor because you have to stop doing so many things. It's great.
You can't get the $5 coffee no more. So what? You go into the market and you buy full paint or whatever they sell, which is cheaper.
I have an old-fashioned campfire percolator. I am not kidding you. It's not electric.
Wow.
It has no moving parts. And it perks coffee. I could take it outside to our little bonfire pit and sit it on the logs and make myself a pot of coffee like I was a cowboy or something, cowgirl. And but that's what I use. And I can make a lot of coffee that's delicious and super duper hot. I don't even have to ask for it extra hot. It comes to me extra hot. So I don't have to go to Starbucks. I'm not saying once in a while I don't, but I don't drink any of the frou-frou drinks. I just drink my decaf, a little bit of half and half, no sugar. And but at home you can make it. It's dirt cheap. It's nothing. Look at all that money you save, $5 a day, and that's minimum at Starbucks times, 30 days. That's $150.
So you buy the house, not able to go to Starbucks and spend $150 a month. So with that same savings, next year you find out the home price is appreciated, and your home is worth you built $100,000 worth of equity in 1 year, 2 or 3 years. Look at the difference.
Look at the difference in one decision it makes. It's fantastic. It's so good. It's so great. And home ownership, there's priceless things that come along with home ownership. Just the power of saying, this is my home. Come on over. I'm going to cook you breakfast. Stop by my house and get some hot coffee. I won't even charge you $5 for it. And I'll make you an omelet. You can say that to a friend, and then you can get them on the road to home ownership. It's amazing. You have your family over, your friends over. Say you don't even like your family. The heck with them. They're terrible. You're an escapee from your own family. You want to disown them. You can invite all your friends over, the people you got to pick, and have a great time.
Yep.
It's wonderful. It's a beautiful thing. And
Yep.
then your family will be jealous, and then they'll be like, oh, you were so right. Look at this great home.
And so, Laura, if the people want to get to you and they need more information to just to get a financial picture of exactly where they are, so to set up something even if they don't want to buy now, maybe they might want to buy in the future. How do they reach you?
Right there on the screen, 301-674-7716. Just give me a call. I'm happy to talk to everybody. I love people. I love helping them. I do other financial things above and beyond mortgages, and I can help you out. I will help you out. So
you have any other final words for the folks?
Don't be afraid. And if you're being afraid, it's because you're watching TV. Turn it off. Stop listening to those people. They're spreading bad news. Go run that whatever Dave Ramsey said. I'm sorry, I missed it. I'm going to go look for it after we hang up. But
I'll send it to you.
And let's get your finances straight, because it makes the world of difference. And then you can teach your kids how to do it right, because families don't talk about money. People don't like talking about money, but you should talk about it. You have to embrace it. You have to talk about it. You have to learn about it. You have to get involved with it, and it will get so much better. And buy that first house, whatever it is you can afford, buy it. Don't worry about if it's not perfect.
Well, I'm going to leave you guys with this. Your new house could be your new health and your new wealth. Another Hump Day Real Estate with Kendall and the DMV. Thank you, Lord,
I
so much for
love you guys.
jumping on with me. Have a blessed one. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.